I am live once again. It's a Friday, and I didn't even hang out because I wanted to go live and then meet up with my favorite fans as well. Uh, Joining me is going to be Tina Mali, and of course, I've also invited It's Just Ben as well. I'm waiting for them to join. So, welcome to my live section. Today, we're going to be discussing settling in Ghana beyond Accra, or life beyond, or Ghana beyond Accra. Like I said, I'll be having some guests who will be joining. I don't know how early they will be joining, but I'm still waiting for them. So let's start. Ghana is actually a home to many diasporans. A lot of people in the diaspora who basically, as a matter of fact, are settling in Ghana. Many dream of returning and settling. And the question that I have always been asked by some of these people is that, is it possible to settle beyond Accra, Ghana? What are some of the issues that are involved? So I decided to do this live show to, as a matter of fact, sensitize them about this whole issue. Join me now. So you see, we are thinking beyond Accra, settling beyond Accra, and we are looking at the cost of living in Accra as against cost of living outside Accra, and a deeper connection to the other parts of Ghana, and also the investment opportunities that awaits people that are basically willing and wishing to settle beyond Accra. So look at the emerging regions. If you talk about the emerging regions, you are talking about, let's say, regions outside the Greater Accra region. Ghana originally have 10 regions, and now it has been increased to 15. So now we have 15 regions currently, with Greater Accra being the capital city region, which have two major cities, that is Accra and the industrial town of Tema, as a matter of fact, right? So the other cities include Cape Coast, Takoradi, Ho, Koforidua, Kumasi, of course, Sunyani, Tamale, Wa, and Bolgatanga. And then there are other five that have been added, including Techiman and many other places that are also. But let's talk about the 10 because those are the ones that have actually grown to that level, and there's that emergence of, investment, etc., that are actually flocking into these areas. But however, there are also the districts as well, over 200 and something districts, which are also poised to receive the diaspora and community as well. So it is just a huge place to discover. You can have towns like Akosumbo, Akemodan, Nkoko. You talk about Doma. You talk about Dambai. You talk about Yepi. You talk about many other towns across the length and breadth of the country, from down south to the northern region. You're talking about even a tourist attraction, tourist area like Paga, which is close to Burkina Faso. And then you are talking about so many places that you can actually think of. So we are talking of broader society or a broader country that goes beyond just the national capital, Accra. That's what we're trying to talk about. And I'm still waiting for my guests to join. I've given them the invite. Tina Mali, wherever you are, if you are ready, it's already 10 o'clock. So kindly join. Let's see how this whole discussion goes. So let's take the district towns as well. they are also active as well. And there are a couple of diasporans who are also living at the district level. But basically, Accra takes a greater chunk of it. And then you have surrounding neighborhoods around Accra, like Ebri and in Sanwam, Sugakope, Adan, Tema. This is also actually taking a portion of this particular, come back to Africa. That's a diaspora returning back to Africa and to Ghana, to be precise, right? So if you take the regions, all the regional capitals have similar, should I say, ecosystem. Probably Kumasi is much bigger than with Takrady because of the port, the seaport is a bit also, should I say, much commercial. But they have similar, they have similar ecology, or they have, should I say, they have similar, things. They have things in common. They don't basically look like Accra itself, but it comes with its own problems, right? It comes with its own problems as well, talking about heavy traffic, etc. But like I said some time back on my videos, it depends on what you are in to do, what you actually want to do, and what brings you, and the kind of job or business that you want to do. If the kind of business or what you are doing in Ghana is about living in a national capital, then basically you have to settle in Accra or maybe one of the neighboring conurbations, right? But on a broader sense and on a bigger floor, on a bigger level, if you basically don't have something to do with the national capital, probably there are other alternatives as well. We are not saying people shouldn't settle, but we are discussing a topic that has basically been crop up. People have asked me questions, several questions about settling beyond Accra or Ghana beyond Accra, right? So now let's look at the diasporans. The trend now is that many from the diaspora are beginning to find their place outside the national capital. I've traveled to Ho and I've been to Cape Coast and some other places, and you will find a couple of these diasporans settling there. In the northern region as well, I've told some diasporans have also settled there as well. So let's talk about finding a place outside the capital. What are the reasons? Is it rewarding settling outside of the national capital? Let's take a look at that. So let's look at cost of living and advantages. The cost of living in Accra can be a bit higher. Let's take, for example, accommodation. So we're going to take accommodation. For example, let's take accommodation. So let's take, say, the cost, the cost of two-bedroom house in Accra, Ghana. So if you're talking about cost of two-bedroom house in Accra, Ghana, we are looking at, sometimes they even charge in dollars. And one diasporan was complaining that he doesn't understand why they should charge in dollars. But the cost of a two-bedroom house in Accra, Ghana varies. It depends on the area and then the facilities and so on and so forth. So let's say an average price around, let's say, 480,000 Ghana cedis, right? So you can get some to, let's say in US dollar, 65,000 USD for a two-bedroom house within Accra metropolitan. That's the average price. Maybe you can go to the low end and you can find a two-bedroom house, maybe as low as probably $150,000, right? And then you can talk about the mid-range, where you can also have from around 500. Okay, you can have around let's say 500,000 Ghana cedis. So let's say approximately to $67,000. So that's a 500,000 to 1.5 Ghana cedis. That's approximately 67,000 to 200,000. I mean dollars. And then you're talking about the high end luxury where you can have about two-bedroom houses in prime areas like East Legon cantonments or Ridge, costing about 330,000 US dollars, right? And more, or even up. So keep in mind that these prices are subject to change and may vary depending on specific location, property type, and many other factors like access to roads, access to, I mean, amenities like shopping malls, close proximity to the airports, markets, etc. So you see, there are issues that are involved in this. And then let's look at price of two-bedroom house. Let's say in say Tamale. So that's a northern region. Two-bedroom house in Tamale, Ghana. So we're going to look at compare. That's the northern region, and there are flights. Even though the journey is a bit far, there are flights that actually, as a matter of fact, can take you less than an hour to land in Tamale. Ghana is not too big as compared to Nigeria, right? So maybe even from Accra, I wouldn't say it's far. From Accra to Tamale is not that far. It's a day's journey, right? So the price of a two-bedroom house in Tamale Ghana also varies based on location, size, and I mean, now let's compare that to Accra. So you can find a two-bedroom house for rent in Tamale. Okay, let's talk about rental first. For rent in Tamale for around between 1,200 Ghana cedis to 10,000 Ghana cedis per month, with an average price of maybe 2,544 per month. And then for sale, you're going to be looking at, and the good thing is that the other cities don't price in USD as compared to Accra prices in USD, right? So for sale, the average price of a two-bedroom house for sale in Tamale will be around 875,702 Ghana cedis, right? Those are ranging from 37,500 to 220,000 Ghana cedis, right? So it depends on the facility. So like I said, 37,500 to 220,000. That is the range. For example, a two-bedroom house at the USD campus as a Dungu Tamale um, can cost maybe around 875,000 Ghana cedis. But that's a prime area, of course. And then Tamale proper will be around 37,000 Ghana cedis. And a two-bedroom house in MKPA properties, Tamale, maybe it's going to be 220,000 Ghana cedis. So if you compare this to what we talked about in Accra, you can see that vast difference. So that's the northern part. Let's come to the middle belt. So let's say price of two-bedroom house in Kumasi. So two-bedroom house. And Kumasi is the second largest city in Ghana. Kumasi is the second largest city in Ghana. So Kumasi, Ghana. We're going to see how much it's going to cost as well. So that's the second largest city, but cost of living there is arguably, I mean, on average and on budget as compared to Accra National Capital. So the price of a two-bedroom house in Kumasi, Ghana vary widely, but you can find houses as low as 60,000 Ghana cedis to as high as 11 dash 11,101,500 Ghana cedis. some average prices to expect. The average price is around 160,000 Ghana cedis to 500,000 Ghana cedis. The cheapest option you can find, two-bedroom houses for same Kumasi for 60,000 Ghana cedis to 120,000 Ghana cedis. And the luxury options, luxury two-bedroom houses in prime areas can cost upwards maybe from 500,000 Ghana cedis to 2.2 million Ghana cedis. Right. So some examples of two-bedroom houses. Two-bedroom house in Mampontin Dumanfo for about 120,000 Ghana cedis to 160,000 Ghana cedis. A two-bedroom house in Workroom Estate could also cost around 950,000 Ghana cedis. So it depends on the areas. They also have the up areas and also the up zones as well. So basically, you would need to compare. So let's come down to regions that are closer to Greater Accra. So let's take, for example, Volta region whole. So the price of two-bedroom house in whole Ghana, house in whole Ghana. Whole is in the Volta region, and it is just about some 2.5 hours from Accra as well. So let's take a look at that too as well. So the price of a two-bedroom house in whole Ghana, okay, varies widely, right? So you can talk about average price of two-bedroom house in Ghana, probably in whole, maybe going for about, let's say, $50,000. I've seen houses there that are also charging in USD. Recently, I was there. So certain houses that are charged or homes that are charged into two bedroom you can get around $50,000 or maybe 40,000, depending on the area and the location as well. And then let's come down to Central West. So let's take Cape Coast, which is also a tourist city where a lot of diasporans also love. So let's look at price of two-bedroom in Cape Coast. And of course, the Cape Coast Castle is located in Cape Coast and Elimina area. So let's look at that. The price of two-bedroom house in Cape Coast also varies differently. So if you want to buy, the average price of a two-bedroom house in Cape Coast is around 757,000 Ghana cedis, with prices ranging from 270,000 to that is 5.350. That's 5.3 million Ghana cedis, right? But I think these are just guess estimates as well because probably Accra is much expensive as compared to Cape Coast. Two-bedroom house in Cape Coast technical area can also cost you around 850,000 as well. So we are looking at it from that. And let's look at also Takrade, which is also a port city and also an oil city as well. And in recent times, there have been lots of attention around that area. So let's look at price of houses in Takoradi, Ghana. Right, so that place we're expecting to see it to go up because of the fact that um, there's oil find around that area and there are a lot of oil companies around that side as well. So price of houses in Takoradi, Ghana vary widely as well. So two-bedroom house, you're looking at 250,000 to 900,000 Ghana cedis, right? So you can do the conversions into dollars and you see. So there are areas like Airport Ridge, Funko Estate, Anaji, etc. So these are some of the areas where you definitely have that high end. So you have luxury houses, areas where there are luxury houses. But if you compare this to Accra, you will still see that there's some, variety or there's some disparity. Let's look at Koforidua, which is also becoming a popular destination for people because it's also close to Accra. It's about 1 hour 15 minutes. That's from our national. That's the price of two-bedroom house in Koforidua. So let's take a look at that. Average price of a two-bedroom house, low end two-bedroom house in Korea is around 270,000 Ghana cedis, according to latest reports, right? But price can also vary depending on factors like location, size, and amenities. So you're talking about low end 150,000 Ghana cedis, 250,000 Ghana cedis. Then the high, you're talking about 500,000 Ghana cedis to 1 million Ghana cedis. But these prices also differ as well, right? But you can also check this on the internet. For example, on websites like Mikasa, and you'll be able to get more options. Let's look at Sunyani. Let's climb up to Sunyani. Two-bedroom house in Sunyani as well. Sunyani, Ghana. So let's see that of Sunyani. We'll go to Wa and Boga as well to see how it is going. So Sunyani, also known as the Sun City. Let's look at that. So price of a two-bedroom house in Sunyani, Ghana vary widely. You can find houses for sale ranging from 100,000 Ghana cedis to and above. Yeah. So two-bedroom. Let's take a location like Fiapre. It's about 100,000 Ghana cedis. Negotiable 200-bedroom house in Sunyani municipal is about 520,000 Ghana cedis. Two-bedroom apartment in residential Sunyani West. So maybe that's for rental. Maybe probably you could get it around 1,200 per month. So there are also disparities and differences here. So you also need to find out from that. Now let's go to Wa, Ghana, which is in the upper regions of Ghana as well. These are regions that are close to Burkina Faso, and I mean it's much closer traveling there to Burkina Faso. So let's look at price of two-bedroom house at Wa, Ghana. So we're going to look at two-bedroom house price of Wa, Ghana as well. So the price for two-bedroom house in Wa, Ghana vary widely. Unfortunately, okay, let's see. Okay, so we have the average price is around 4.6 million Ghana cedis with and also 733,525,000 Ghana cedis. So let's take the low end. You can find around 150,000 to 250,000 mid-range price for two-bedroom house in Ghana, or also something around that range. But I think it will even be lower than what basically I am actually getting here. So let's see. Let's check. Let's check from GG or okay. Let's go to Mikasa. Let's check from Mikasa and see. Let's check from Mikasa and see. Let's check from Mikasa. Let's check. Okay. Let's go back and check from GG as well. Let's check from GG. So we are talking about Ghana beyond Accra. So arguably, price of properties there are much lower as compared to Accra. So let's look at that. So price of two-bedroom house in Bolga. House in Bolga, Anga. So let's check. But the most important thing is to contact a real estate company, and they will be the ones to give you much more information as to how much it costs. And what the figures I'm using here are the figures that I'm collecting from websites that are related to real estate, etc. So price for two-bedroom house in Bogatanga vary widely. So let's see. So let's see. Okay, so for sale, you're looking at 850,000 Ghana cedis. And then this will also depend on the area and then the other factors. So let's say, for example, a two-bedroom house in Iyekini, Bogatanga is around 850,000 Ghana cedis. Two-bedroom apartment in key media properties, Bogatanga, that's about, okay, that's for rental or not for rental. Okay, I don't want to talk about that. So I think at least we have a fair idea. That's about 850 Ghana cities, which is, I mean, very affordable and within budget. So now we've looked at almost all the regions. Let's come back to Old Volta region as well, because it's also close to Togo and Benin. So maybe probably people who want to do cross-border business want to live close to regional capitals that are close to um, other countries, but also get to see what really or how much it costs to buy a house there. House in Ho, Ghana. I was there recently, and it's a beautiful place as well. Ghana Ho is a very beautiful place. But from what I saw there, when I got there, they were also charging some of the houses in USD as well. Anyway, so let's look at some of that. I think the last time, like I told, there were some apartments that were going for 50,000, 40,000, 55,000, etc. It actually ranges between that range, and basically, it's more of affordable as compared to that of Accra. But like I said, it will depend on what you are doing and where that you want to live. So enough about the accommodation issue. You can check more of this. This is just a rough estimate of the cost, but basically it is lower as compared to that of Accra. So we look at cost of accommodation and food. Actually, also there's a lot of food outside Accra. Prices are okay, maybe probably with the exception of Cape Coast and Takrady, where food prices are a bit up. And I think it's okay around maybe Ho2 is a bit lighter, but it will depend on where you eat. It's all about where you eat. And even within Accra, it depends on where you eat. There are also low cost areas within Accra where you can also eat. But the issue in Accra has to do with the size of the city and the cost of transportation, right? So transport will also be part that you need to consider. Fuel, the amount of fuel that you have to burn. Regions such as Tamale, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Ho, Sunyane, Koforidua are extra. But even Kumasi also has that a bit of a traffic, so you should also be expecting to spend more on fuel if you drive. And if you don't drive, to be expecting to spend more on transportation. But Cape Coast, Ho, Tamale, Koforidua, Takrady, Wa, Bolga, and many other cities, you basically have the cost of transport not being so much of a drain on your funds. Right. In terms of serenity too, you're also going to get a serene atmosphere as the population is not so overwhelming as compared to Accra, where there are a lot of people. Right. You might save if basically you want to live beyond. Food costs, like I said, it depends on where you eat, but generally they are lower. However, in Accra too, you can also have low cost places as well. But Accra, if you want to dine in high class restaurants or top class restaurants, you spend more, right? And most of the top run restaurants in Accra are much expensive, right? So let's look at cultural immersion and community. For me, I think there's culture everywhere. Some people also believe that outside Accra has tribes. Outside Accra, because they are smaller, the immersion into the culture is easier. But then there's culture everywhere as well. If it depends on where you live. If you go to the typical local Accra communities as well, you're definitely going to find. I mean, definitely going to find. I mean, local traditions. You're going to get in touch with local traditions, etc. Accra, if you go to the localities, the very, I mean, traditional localities like Tishin, Wa, and the likes, surely going to meet tradition. You're going to have, there are festivals that are celebrated in Accra as well. So it's not just a Right. So um, let's continue. Let's continue. So when it comes to culture, there's culture everywhere because if you go to Accra areas like Tishima, Minungwama, you're definitely going to get. They have what we call the Wolumes. The fetish priests are still in Accra, but because the community, because Accra is bigger, you hardly come across them. But if you have to go live close to some of those um, traditional communities, Teshin, Ungwa, Osu, and the rest, you are likely to come across some of these things. But the smaller cities, the bond is much stronger. I mean, there are festivals everywhere. Let's look at investment and business opportunities. One will also get to realize that most of the foreign direct investments usually happens in Accra. But the point is that there has been some dynamics. The system is changing. The other regions have opportunities. For example, real estate, from right down from the northern part of the country to down south of the country, you're basically going to come along opportunities right down from real estate to the food and the hospitality sector to manufacturing to agriculture to, I mean, tourism and the service sector, right? So there's real estate business. When you take real estate business, for example, almost all the regions need houses. And the good thing is that you may get the price of land at a very lower price or at a very cheaper price in those regions as compared to Accra. Accra, if you want a prime area, man, is expensive, and you basically need more on your wallet to get it. But in other regions, I think price of land is cool. You can even get land for as low as 50,000 Ghana cedis in some of the regions. Sometimes in some of the regions, maximum maybe no more than 1.5 million Ghana cedis or something. Maybe that's even in prime areas, even in very prime areas, right? So it is cheaper, and there is a gap. For example, the food sector, the hospitality sector, you can basically invest there as well. You see, there are also opportunities in the agro processing sector, talking about from shea butter to mangoes to palm plantations and palm nut related products and services to even food stuffs as well. So it is a broader, it has, the regions also have a broader opportunity as well. Like I said, it depends on where you choose to live and then what you are doing where and what you want to do in the country. So we're talking about Ghana beyond Accra. So what does the various region offer? Each of the region have something to offer, right? Each of them have something to offer. And the good thing is that when you move to the other cities, land is more available, right? As most lands within the capital city area has been exhausted because of the pressure on the national capital area. But then it depends on if you still want land in Accra and you have the money. Today, you can get land to buy. You can get land to buy and then put up your project. So you're talking about, I mean, access to large, vast of lands at, I mean, a reasonable price, right? So now let's talk about heritage tourism. Heritage tourism also thrives in the other regions as well. So let's talk about if you want to also live in the coastal areas, talking about the Cape Coast, the Adans, the Ketas, the Takradis, the Eliminas, the Salt Ponds, etc. Right. These places also offer some kind of peace of mind, and you can enjoy the beaches, fresh seafood, and calm atmosphere along the coastline. However, if you also prefer the forest areas, there are also opportunities. For example, if we look at the Volta region, talking about the Volta Lake, mountains, move towards the north, vast variety of lands, basically that can be used for large scale farming. You also take advantage of Tamale, which is one of the fastest growing cities in West Africa. And it also has an international airport as well, right? So there are more options in Ghana. So you're talking about ecotourism, you're talking about a whole lot of things, right? Getting advantage and getting access to large tracts of land as well. So we talk of agriculture right down from down south to the north. You can talk about shea butter farming. You can talk about rice farming, especially in the north as well. And you can talk about coffee, talk about cocoa and fruits, mangoes, oranges, and the rest. Right? You can even decide not to go into the farming itself, but maybe set up processing factories around. You buy from the farms, right? And then you process them and then sell. So there are a lot of opportunities that you can actually, harness in Ghana as well. You see, but moving to Ghana, you also need to do a lot of research as well. Like I said, the figures I gave you about the rent, etc., those are general figures. Some of the figures I found on the internet, basically, some of them might even be Accra prices for other regions, but it's good to contact a real estate company, right, that can provide you with insight, can provide you with more in-depth information about renting, etc. So it is good to also research. Researching thoroughly is very important. Talk to people, connect with local communities, and gather information, right? But wherever you move, there are, local customs, there are traditions that are easy to learn. You can also learn some of the languages, Ghanaian languages. Almost all of the Ghanaian languages are easy to learn, right? You can learn any one of them if you wish, right? So if you are watching me, we're still on the live transmission on my channel. My guest didn't pull up. I was expecting Tina Mali for it's just been I just gave the invitation very late, so probably it wasn't. But then I was expecting Tina Mali to be on live, but she didn't put up. But then you can also see my shirts. I have my merchandise. Whilst you watch, try and shop, get yourself one. Somebody has buy one in America and she's happy buying one. Fatima Shahida, Madam Fatima Shahida, I like to say, um, good evening to you. I don't know whether it's evening in Ghana, probably. So whatever it is, I like to say, shout out to you, of course. To all those who have purchased my merchandise, I like to say thank you very much for purchasing my merchandise. And don't forget to hit the share button and subscribe. Don't forget to comment, share, and like. Let's give the channel a share my videos, and that I've been churning out. And if you have any questions or any problems concerning any of the videos that I'm making, you can also put it ahead and across so that I get to know more about that. But like I said earlier on, if it's about living beyond Accra, cost of living, you're expected to see it to go up, as in most other countries as well. But the cost of houses and land, will be better to contact the real estate agent as well to be able to get information on that. There are a lot of credible ones out there. You don't have to pay money to them whilst you are there. Probably you can do the research and then later fly in down to have first-hand, experience of how the places are, right? And it's also important to be able to know where you are building before you don't get up and build in a waterlogged area or something, especially within the national capital where land is in high demand. to be better to have a personal experience, come down to have a personal experience and to see how things are basically going. You can have a practical, feel of what is happening. You can travel to Ghana to have to come down to see the most. So to my viewer who basically made this point of me telling you about Ghana, being on Accra and all that, and talking about real estate and all that, this is the video for you. So let's look at healthcare, education, and infrastructure. I think there are good schools everywhere. I don't really believe in the perception that all the best schools are in Accra. The expensive schools are in Accra, but the good schools are all over the country as well, right? So there are good schools all over. And then when you talk of healthcare, there are hospitals all over. But the number one hospital where almost very highly sensitive cases are referred to is in Accra as well. So we talk about Kolebu and then talk about University of Ghana Medical Center. But beside that, there are hospitals providing quality services across the country. So infrastructure, just like we are in Africa, so you should expect to see the same kind of infrastructure as well. What you miss basically will be you will miss shopping malls in some of the smaller cities. Most smaller cities doesn't have shopping malls. But even the culture of shopping malls have not been in Ghana for that long. I think if I can cast my mind back, it's around 2000, 2001 when ANC Mall hit the ground with shopping mall culture. So it's not a culture that basically has been with Ghanaians for that long. Even though there were big shops in Ghana like the GNTC, UTC, and all that. I think there was one plaza in Accra, something like that. But then basically, that culture hasn't been in Ghana for that long, like culture of shopping malls and all that. But then there are supermarkets as well. There is a supermarket chain that has branch in every regional capital and every district capital as well, and even beyond. So you would have access to, and there are consumer goods available all over from the open markets, that is the local traditional markets, to modern trade, that is the supermarkets as well. And then you can even talk about online shopping as well. There's e-commerce where you can order from everything from kitchen utensils to furniture to books to clothing and everything, right? You can order food as well and all that. So, and even when you talk about transportation infrastructure or transportation systems, you have some of the ride hailing apps moving to. I think boats have gone into moving to most of the almost all of the regional capitals. So I think probably you could order a ride there. But I also taxis that run around, and then also we have the moped bikes that are very common in most of the smaller cities as well. So, and even in the larger cities, Accra and Kumasi as well. So, there's every kind of thing. Internet service basically is almost the same. People have met people, I've met people who claim internet service outside Accra is not the best. But for me, I have experienced it because sometimes even where I live in the greater Accra region, some of the networks, certain places, when I sit to my favorite pub, the network doesn't, connect very well. As soon as I move meters away, it works. So it's not bad across the country like that. But even within the national capital, not every area has the best of reception from my experience. So it is not an issue to bother with. There are variety of internet service providers that you can have access to. We have the three major telcos as well. That is the MTN, Airtel, Tigo, Telecel, which are providing similar services as well. So you can, and it's not difficult to acquire or get an internet SIM or to get an internet service as well. It's just simple and straightforward, and you can access, internet service as well. So, quality services are essential and as a matter of fact, available as well, but not to the standards of Europe and America. So you shouldn't expect to see the same standards that you see in Europe and America as well. But then there are also some of these standards as well. For example, you have KFC, which also have branches across the country as well. And there are local fast food joints, like I said in my previous video. If you're watching me now, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, subscribe. Don't forget to comment, share, and like. And don't forget to also, as a matter of fact, leave a comment as well. The chat is open. Live chat is open. I haven't seen much of people chatting with me now. But then if basically you are watching, kindly leave a chat. Like I said, the prices of accommodation that I gave, those ones you can research. Those ones I got them from the internet. But you can also do further research from the real estate companies and from the real estate portals as well. Right. So life basically is not bad. Ghana beyond Accra, it's not that bad. Like I said, depends on where you want to live, the kind of lifestyle that you want to live. For those who want to live the up and mid range lifestyle, basically you would need to spend a bit above the minimum. But it's just the same. Um, it's just the same life for me. The difference that you see basically really is the size of Accra and the access to an international airport, the largest airport or the main international airport, and as well as top big international hotels. But also there are also nice hotels in the regions as well that befits the regional status as well. There are 3-star, 4-star hotels in some of the regions as well, right? That are also, doing and providing very good services as well. So viewers, I was waiting for my guest to join. She hasn't joined yet. I don't know why she hasn't joined. I tried as much as possible to link up with her, but she hasn't been able to join. So if there are any questions, leave them in the chat section and we're going to discuss it. If there are no questions, and then maybe probably we need to move on. So now let's also talk about where you can make more money. Where can you make more money? This is a bit controversial. Somebody lives outside Accra, he makes more money than somebody who lives in Accra. Somebody also lives in Accra may also make more money than. In terms of this particular issue, it's a bit, discussive and a bit based on what you do and where, right? So, for example, if you work or if you earn 2,000 cities in, say, one of the regions, let's say Tamale or Ho or Boga or Koforia or Sunyane, you would be much better off as compared to someone in Accra earning that 2,000 Ghana cedis. Because the cost of transportation, cost of rent, and as a matter of fact, the cost of probably certain services. Of course, there are schools in Accra, the prices are also lower. So it depends on where you want your child to go to school. There are schools in Accra that are also charging, minimum fees. But if you want to take your child to very top schools, then you should expect to see, you should expect to see a much huger or a much bigger, to see a much bigger or pay more for that. You should expect to pay more. Maybe probably if you want your child to go to the top international schools. Those schools running the IBs and those schools that are running international programs as well. But arguably, life is just okay in almost every part of the country. It depends on your choice and where you want to live. But viewers, very soon I'll be going off air. My guest didn't pull up. Maybe probably it could be as a result of network issue. Probably so. We will be ending the live session here. Thank you very much for joining. Anyway, it's Friday. It's a Friday, so probably I'm going to brace up and then get back to town and have some fun. And then maybe tomorrow morning I'll wake up. And then one thing too before I go, I go, I want to share that there's so much fun in Ghana. We stay out late and we enjoy it as well. But Saturday mornings too, we don't joke with our exercises. We find people jogging up and down. So tomorrow morning I'll also be going for my jogging as well. I'm going out to go and chill. And before I leave, I like to say, Tina Mali, you couldn't come up, or whatever be the reason, I don't know. Thank you very much for showing concern, but you didn't show up anyway. But I'm okay. So I'd like to say thank you to all my viewers. Enough respect. See you in my next stream.